we are Carlos Ariza and Fernando Menendez, and we are gonna present an apartment full of evil by Adam Neville.
When I was 18, I lived with my boyfriend in a basement apartment in a town in Wyoming. It was not happy time in my life for various reasons, but it also didn't help that the apartment was creepy as shit. Even for a basement apartment, it was usually dark and cold all the time.
As soon as we moved in, weird shit started happening. Scratching noises all seemed to be coming from inside the walls. I attribute this to mice, but not a single trap. That was set there, code 1. I will be doing dishes in the kitchen, and I will hear an enormous crash from the living room. It will sound so much like the TV had fallen over, taking my boyfriend's shelf of Star Wars memorabilia with it. But I will rush into the living room expecting to find a complete mess and not a thing of place. Sometimes I will be coming down the dark, narrow hallways that connected the living room to the rest of the apartment, and I will swear that I heard whispering coming from the bathroom. At the end of the hall, I will often wake up in the middle of the night after hearing something like a camera shutter clicking right in my ear. As unsettling as these things were, they didn't really disturb or frighten me so much as annoy and puzzle me. When I started finding out the history of the apartment from the locals and I had some context to put them in, that's when it got scary.
A few months after we had moved in, a guy from my hometown came to visit me. He was living in the same city at the time, attending the same college that my boyfriend was. He brought a friend with him who was local. I greeted the two of them outside the apartment, and the friend introduced himself and said that he used to know a guy who lived in this apartment. When I invited them inside and we went down to the basement apartment, the friend got a really weird look on his face.
This is the apartment that guy you lived in. He said, "Have you had any problems here?"
I asked him what he meant, and he told me that the guy he knew who had lived here had been a meat dealer and self-proclaimed Satanist who used to host weird group sex parties in the name of the Dark Lord or some shit. The friend said that the guy was now in prison for beating his girlfriend almost to death and pushing a TV over on top of her.
Well, that spooked me. I told my boyfriend, and he, being a non-practicing Catholic, decided that calling a Catholic priest over to come bless the place was the best solution. I'm not religious in the slightest, but I didn't have any better ideas, so we called it the local parish and they sent an old priest over. He sprinkled some holy water around, said a few prayers in Latin, and was gone.
Later that night, we were invited to a small gathering at our neighbor's apartment. He lived in the apartment directly above us, and we had told him earlier in the day about the priest coming over to bless the place because of the spooky shit that was going on. When we arrived at his apartment that evening, he asked us who it was. We shrugged and said fine.
Then, why were you screaming? He asked me. Were you having devil cast out of something?
My boyfriend and I exchanged puzzled looks. I told him I hadn't been screaming. Nobody had. The whole thing had been pretty unoffensive. The neighbor swore up on tone that he had heard a woman screaming coming from our apartment where the priest was there. He had thought it was me being exorcised or something.
I had hoped that was the end of it, but it wasn't. Things actually started to get worse over the next few months. The weird noises came more frequently. The camera shooter sound woke me up every night instead of just once in a while. My boyfriend began experiencing the phenomena as well around this time. The fight we were having started to escalate and my boyfriend became very violent. He had never been a nice guy, exactly, but I had never thought the wall he would actually hit me with closed fists, but he did, and quite often it was a very bad.
Early one morning, I woke up suddenly and saw that my boyfriend was still asleep in the bed next to me. I looked away to check the clock, and when I looked back, he was staring at the ceiling with his eyes wide open. It startled me because I had never seen him wake up so suddenly. I said good morning and asked if he was okay.
I spoke to it. He said, "You think that lives here?" He told me I can leave. He said it out me now.
I started to ask him what the hell he was talking about, but he immediately closed his eyes and went back to sleep, somewhere deep down. I thought I knew what he was talking about, and that freaked me out even more.
One night, a few weeks later, I was alone in the apartment. I was out drinking with friends. I was watching Ace Ventura, Pet Detective on the TV in the living room. I decided to go to the kitchen to get a drink. As I was walking down the long dark hallway to the kitchen, I stopped dead in my tracks. I had heard something growl. At first, I thought it must have been the TV, but as I strained to hear the noise coming from the TV, in the living room was Jim Carrey doing one of his eyes strained to. The growl came again, and it was coming from somewhere much closer, enough to my right. I turned and saw a dark shape crouching in the hallway. I had just enough time to wonder if a stray dog had somehow roared, and when the thing stood up and rushed at me, snarling, I fucking freaked. Bolted down the hallway, over the stairs, and out the front door.
The neighbor who lived above us wasn't at home, so I went up another flight of stairs and knocked on a different neighbor's door. The lady named Dawn, who lived in an apartment on the top floor, comes to the door.
You know, this apartment is messed up, she said. Lots of crazy shit has gone on down here.
I told her I had already heard about the Satan's dude who tried to murder his girlfriend. She laughed and said that was only one of the people that had lived there. Before that guy, a Mexican lady had lived there. She was a devout Catholic who did not speak a lot of English and had a life-size crucifix on the wall. Dawn told me more about this history of the apartment and the people who had lived there, but I can't recall any of the other details, just that each person had either been terrified of the place, been a terrible person, or met terrible end. Yeah.
Unborn child is 12 now. Abusive boyfriend is out of the picture and has been for over a decade. I am still very good friends with Dawn. Sometimes I still have dreams about that place, so the dreams are always terrifying. And sometimes I wake up in the dark, totally convinced for a few moments that I am back in that apartment. The end.
The end.